Welcome back, I'm Felix, and I am reacting to Brits react to reasons why American breakfasts are the way they are. Okay, that was about full. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but let's get into it. And I'm already hungry just thinking about food. Probably because it's almost dinner time. Alright, but let's get into it and see what's going on with breakfast.
Reasons why American breakfasts are the way they are. I already know for a fact this video is going to make me hungry. Before we do get into this, appreciate if you guys could subscribe button. Let's check out some American breakfast.
When you think of American breakfast food,
Waffles.
you probably think of things like
Pancakes.
cereal and milk, toast, eggs, pancakes, French toast, orange juice,
toast.
and coffee.
Okay.
Or a McDonald's breakfast burrito. But few realize that there are actual, factual reasons Americans eat the food they do at breakfast.
Wait, what was he doing with the brush and the bread?
Today, we're going to take
What
a look
was
at the
that?
reasons why American breakfasts are the way they are.
Okay, let's see.
But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird
that's a
History
Kellogg's
Foods
commercial.
channel.
That little
I think that's an old Kellogg's commercial, Special K. I forgot all about that cereal.
good.
Please leave us a comment and let us know what other corners of breakfast history you would like us to explore. Okay, wakey
Oh, this is
wakey,
gonna make me
it's
so
eggs
hungry.
and bakey.
Oh. Coffee.
America runs on Dunkin' and Starbucks and Pete's. Also Folgers, Chock-full Nuts, Maxwell House,
What was the name of that coffee brand? Chock full of nuts?
Nuts, Maxwell House, Gevalia. Long story short, America runs on coffee.
Okay.
But it
We have so many different brands of coffee. So when I hear people talking about American coffee is horrible, it's like you tried one coffee and you think American coffee is horrible. We have multiple brands of coffee. We have, like chocolate, they were talking about American chocolate sucks. We have so many different types of chocolate. You tried Hershey's and you were like, oh, that's American standard for chocolate. No, it's not. We have so many different brands. It's like, get your head out your ass. It's like, we got so many different variations of pretty much everything.
wasn't always that way. Once upon a time, America's breakfast beverage of choice was actually tea, which makes sense since the U.S. started out as British colonies and, well, you know how the British are.
Ah, interesting. But how long ago was the switch? Because I don't really hear many Americans drinking tea. Sweet tea, yeah. But yeah, like when I think of Americans, I think coffee. When I think of the Brits, I think tea. Even though then again, the Japanese Americans drinking tea, more tea than coffee, because I drink more coffee than tea. There's more, you know, there's definitely British people drinking, you know what I mean? It just depends.
With their tea.
Tea? Tea?
Tea was once as central to American life as it was in Britain.
Okay,
Both upper
interesting.
and middle-class colonists drank tea, both for its purported health benefits
Coffee's
and as
bad.
a social activity. You know, when you get together with your mates to clink saucers, that's probably what they called it, right? However, it was partly because of tea's strong association with British life that coffee wound up becoming the American breakfast drink of choice.
Right.
Let's be honest though, coffee wakes you up in the morning. Was it a Folgers commercial? Wakes you up in the morning. I can't remember the exact line, but yeah, that caffeine kicks in and you're like, hey, how's it going? How many cups of coffee you had? 22.
1865, Britain passed the Stamp Act, imposing a series of taxes on goods. One of those goods being tea. The colonists were pretty unhappy with the act and responded with protests that included the famous Boston Tea Party. But some colonists went even further and boycotted the beverage altogether.
Oh my God.
Those brave souls turned to
What is he doing? Choking him out with tea?
alternative beverages instead.
Wait. This might be one of the best days in history then. So you're telling me, because the Brits taxed tea, America was like, okay, we're boycotting tea now, and then we came up with coffee.
Yep.
Imagine this day never happened. You know what? For the first time ever, I'm thanking the Brits for putting tax on tea. I've never ever thanked anything to do with tax. But hey, it created coffee, man.
Like coffee. But it was really during the Civil War that coffee consumption in America increased dramatically. To improve their focus and endurance during the war, soldiers were given coffee rather than the standard rum and brandy.
Okay.
Because it's...
Wait. Instead of rum... Wait.
Yeah, that's for real.
No, what? No, what?
Yeah, they really did that. It was like, it was supposed to help fight off stuff and help with basically their mentality, their what's that? Their spirits. I can't think of that word I was thinking of, but morale. Help with their morale. There we go.
You did better in the war. No, you went from drinking alcohol to coffee. So you went from like fighting in the war drunk to being alerted. Yeah, no wonder there was improvement.
Generally more advantageous to have your soldiers high on speed rather than drunk on well liquor. As more and more coffee was imported for the soldiers, demand for the drink expanded beyond the battlefield and into American homes.
Okay.
Fast forward about 150 years later, and there's a Starbucks on every corner. Kind of feels like that mermaid logo should be draped in an American flag.
To be fair, Starbucks is kind of everywhere in the UK as well now. Like, yeah,
Starbucks is everywhere. Excuse me. We got one even where I live. So it's like, I think it's at the college. But yeah, there's Starbucks and Chick-fil-A at the college. But we don't have one like more public accessible. But actually, I wonder why we don't actually. We definitely should. But yeah, Starbucks is everywhere. You can pretty much find Starbucks there. It's like the old saying, you used to be able to find a liquor store in every corner. Now you find a Starbucks on every corner.
people are drinking coffee. It's not like America though, where it's on every corner, but there is one within like, you know, every like 30-minute radius. So it's not bad.
Humans have been eating bread for about 10,000 years, give or take a few hundred. However, the invention of toast, which is essentially just burnt bread, is credited to the Romans, who first toasted stale bread in order to preserve it.
Okay.
The idea was a big hit. It's hard to say no to that irresistible crunch. And toast remained a staple fare throughout the centuries.
Put some butter on it, and I would do butter, sugar, and cinnamon. Actually, I think I want some now.
But it didn't find its permanent place on American breakfast plates until the 19th century, when the Seventh-day Adventist Church promoted it as a healthy, quick, and affordable breakfast.
Healthy?
Back then, people made toast by holding it on a fork or in a frame by a fire or stove.
Oh, wow.
In 1893, the Eclipse toaster was introduced as the world's first electric toaster.
Wait. You just put the toast here and...
You still got to turn it.
Okay, this does not look safe.
It wasn't.
This does... It definitely does the same job, but...
I guarantee
but while it was a huge step forward, the machine toasted only one side at a time. So you still had to manually flip the bread.
Okay.
Which kind of makes it worthless. The whole point of a toaster is that you can watch Netflix on your phone while it does all the work for you. Come on, 1893, figure it out. Then, right around 1919, several technological advancements led to the invention of the automatic pop-up toaster.
Interesting.
This was followed in 1928 by the invention of pre-sliced bread. It was the combination of these two inventions that made toast easily accessible nationwide.
That's funny. Because they used to joke about Betty White's older than sliced bread. And the toaster is older than sliced bread. It's hilarious to me.
But what really cemented toast's place in American breakfast were changes in American work life. In the early 20th century, the working and middle classes...
Oh, don't be showing me a full breakfast. Not right now, but oh man, my stomach's going crazy. My stomach's going crazy.
...found they no longer had time for the elaborate breakfast spreads of eras past. So rather than cook a full meal, homemakers started preparing breakfasts that were simple and quick. Thanks to the invention of the pop-up toaster and sliced bread.
Hey, you know you're hungry when even toast is just making your belly rumble.
Toast was a natural fit. Based on its name...
I'm getting ready to go make some steaks, actually.
Probably assume that French toast is, you know, French.
What is it
like
not?
French braids, French...
Like, listen, I had to Google French. Like, I seen a video on French toast and it looks absolutely incredible. But I had to Google it afterwards. What is, like, where did French toast come from? And it says, like, French toast is French, like, is French toast. But it was popularized in America. So America made it popular. Which is very weird because it's called French toast.
Or the
Every time I see his teeth, I'm like, where did you get your teeth done?
French kiss. But it's not. In actuality, French toast doesn't have a single origin. The earliest known reference to this particular breakfast
so it wasn't actually then created in France. It's just called French toast.
Staple actually comes from an ancient Roman cookbook called Apicius. That recipe, which may date all the way back to the 1st century CE, calls for the chef to remove the crust from fine white bread.
Right.
Slice it into rather large pieces, soak those in beaten eggs and milk, then fry the concoction in oil. Once cooked, the book recommends covering the toast with honey. The author was presumably banished from polite society for this recipe, because what devilment would possess you to soak a hunk of bread in raw eggs?
French toast tastes the same whether it's in pieces or whether it's whole. I mean, bread is bread, you know?
Various other versions of French toast continued to crop up all throughout Europe in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Like regular toast, French toast was just a way to rehabilitate stale bread, and wasn't so much a luxurious dish reserved for the rich.
Oh, look, this is French toast I've seen with like the fruit on it. Oh,
as it was a money saver for a thrifty crowd. So how did this dish come to be known as French toast? Well, no one is exactly sure. But in the US, it used to be called a lot of things, including German toast and Spanish toast.
Oh, really?
Kinda sounds like we should just call it European wet bread.
Wait, yeah, what's with the European names? What's with the...
A lot of times they would give stuff... I'm spitting everywhere. A lot of times they would give European names to stuff because it made it sound fancy. Literally, that's really why. That's probably why it's called French toast. It made it sound fancy.
European names. We got the French toast, the Spanish toast, the German toast.
Prior to the invention of cereal, Americans, for the most part, ate full, hearty breakfasts that included the same type of foods they'd eat at dinner.
Okay.
As time went on, however, Americans began experiencing frequent indigestion, and health experts quickly blamed breakfast as the cause.
Seriously, dude, light a candle.
Turns out you really shouldn't eat pizza anytime, even if it is on a bagel. These experts argued for lighter, more nutrient-rich breakfasts.
Cereal is good.
And voila, cereal was invented. In the 1870s, a fellow named James Caleb Jackson introduced granula, which was twice-baked pebbles of flour, to the United States. But as appetizing as twice-baked pebbles of flour sounds, there was a minor problem. Eating granula on its own was pretty much impossible.
Okay, you need milk.
The pebbles were hard as rocks. An emergency dental trip was just waiting to happen. As a solution, Jackson's mother, Lucretia Edgerton Jackson, suggested soaking the granula in milk or warm water to make it edible.
That name was like, that's a real name. And people think it's a black made-up name. It's not. It existed.
A short time later, a guy named John Harvey Kellogg, whose last name you probably recognize.
Oh,
that man was nuts and a pervert.
Who doesn't know? Wait, like you know exactly where this is going. Who doesn't know Kellogg?
Came up with his own version of granula. Kellogg made a minor spelling adjustment to Jackson's product name and then gifted the world with what he called granola. Kellogg's granola started to take off, along with the practice of soaking it in milk or warm water if you're some kind of maniac. Today,
wait, yo, do you actually think there's people out there who have water with their cereal?
Yes, there are people who still eat.
There probably is, isn't there?
Water.
There's probably some crazy people out there that's having cereal water.
Cereal is much softer and, crucially, edible all on its own. But most people still prefer to pour milk over it. Today, orange juice is the classic breakfast beverage of choice for Americans when coffee and or booze isn't available.
You know what? It is very similar in the UK as well. So like for breakfast, a lot of people will go for orange juice. And in Europe as well. When I go to Europe for breakfast, orange juice is very high up there on the list of like.
Orange juice is popular. Not too many people don't like orange juice. I really haven't met anyone who's like, orange juice sucks. So
things, you know, to order. If it's not tea or coffee, probably going to be an orange juice.
But that wasn't always the case. The story of OJ's regular place on our breakfast tables starts in the 1920s, when biochemist Elmer McCollum kicked off America's obsession with vitamins by touting their healing properties. Corporate America then picked up the ball and ran with it, particularly Sunkist, who began marketing daily doses of its canned orange juice as containing all the vitamins and nutrients a person needs. McCollum then switched gears and introduced America to acidosis, which he claimed was a buildup of acid in the bloodstream that could cause fatigue. To prevent this condition, McCollum suggested people eat lettuce and citrus fruits, which are full of acid. The people in Sunkist's marketing department, who apparently just bought everything McCollum said, quickly laughed.
I was going to say, yeah, believe it or not, back then a lot of, well, even now, but even especially back then, a lot of doctors would just say stuff, knowing people would believe them. They knew if they said it with a lot of confidence, that people would believe them. And that's why a lot of medical stuff that goes on today has been dismissed, because it's like, yeah, we discovered that was all a lie.
Latched on to the acidosis scare to promote its orange juice even more heavily than it did before. But it wasn't until after World War II that the drink's popularity at the breakfast table really picked up. During the war...
You know what? Is orange juice actually really good for all those vitamins? Like, still, like, right now? Like, do you reckon I should be drinking that?
The government...
Actually, it depends on the orange juice, because a lot of the orange juice, a lot of orange juice is not really orange juice. It's just orange juice flavored.
needed a way to provide soldiers with...
I don't drink Sunkist anymore. I used to drink when I was a kid, but I actually don't like the taste anymore.
Vitamin C. So they charged all of their scientists with developing an orange juice that was superior to the canned variety commonly available at the time. It's unclear how they did this. Maybe they made the orange juice lift weights? Those scientists succeeded in their task, developing the product we now know as frozen concentrated orange juice.
Frozen?
Yep. Used to be really popular.
What?
The problem was, they did it 3 years after the war had ended. Luckily, corporate America was only too happy to pick up their research. And by the 1950s, mass-produced fresh frozen orange juice was a staple in American pantries.
Fresh frozen orange juice?
Yeah, you add water and stir it up. It was weird. But when I did have it, it tasted pretty good from what I remember. But for the most part, I didn't have that often.
Wait, how is it frozen though? So you get it out the can frozen and then you wait for it to melt?
Quench your thirst with health. Quench your thirst with wonderful fresh frozen orange juice.
Yo, that'd be really cold though. That'd be really refreshing.
Orange juice has solidified its reputation as an affordable, healthy breakfast beverage. Although its supposed health benefits are dubious at best.
Right. Oh,
bagels,
I like a
in their
bagel.
simplest form, round rolls with a hole in the center, have been traced all the way back to ancient Egypt. But the bagel as we know it, the perfect delivery system for fried eggs and cream cheese, can be traced to 14th century Poland. German immigrants who were moving into the region at the time brought with them one of mankind's greatest inventions, the pretzel.
Yo, Yo, I thought this picture was headed in a different direction. I thought we was headed in a different... I'm not even gonna... Yep, okay, the pretzel, right? The pretzel, yep, the pretzel.
Over time, those pretzels morphed into one of mankind's other greatest inventions, the modern bagel.
Okay.
Then, when Jadwiga of Poland, the first female monarch of the Kingdom of Poland, chose to eat bagels during Lent, they began to gain popularity among the nobility. As Germans were migrating to Poland, Jewish immigrants were too.
Right.
At the time, Christians banned Jewish people from making bread in many regions because of the food's connection to the rite of communion. But Poland became the first to allow Jewish people to bake and sell bread, including bagels. And it was late 19th century Jewish immigrants who first brought bagels to America. Despite the popularity of bagels today, they were not a big hit in America at first.
Oh,
that
really?
would change in the 1970s when bagels exploded in popularity across the broader U.S. after Lender's began marketing frozen bagels.
Now my new Lender's bakery-style bagels stay chewy and delicious for days and days.
Okay, I've never heard of a frozen bagel, but sure.
I do remember frozen bagels. I think they still have them, actually. I think you still get frozen bagels, but I don't know too many people who do.
And everything at this point. Donuts for breakfast.
Yep. They have breakfast donuts.
Okay.
I think it's still around.
Okay, sure. I've never heard of anyone having a donut for breakfast though. Donut's just like a throughout the day kind of thing. It's not really like linked to breakfast, is it?
While we're on the topic of round breakfast baked goods that have a hole in the middle, let's talk donuts. The modern donut, as we know it, is widely believed to have originated in the 18th century, when Dutch immigrants brought them to New York. Back then, they were called oliekoeks, or oily cakes, which sounds more like a used hamburger bun than a delicious breakfast treat. The recipe evolved from there, with a 19th century ship captain claiming to have created the familiar donut shape with a hole at the center.
Okay.
While that anecdote is disputed, What is certain is that World War I saw the donut become cemented as an American staple.
Hey, a lot of these food items are popping around and getting popular through the world wars.
Volunteers in France gave donuts to American soldiers in the trenches to remind them of home.
Oh,
Then
okay,
in
cool.
1920, a guy named Adolf Levitt invented the first donut machine. The ability to mass-produce donuts instantly made them a symbol of progress. And at the 1934 World's Fair, they were seen as the food of the future. Back then, a
Donuts are
donut
good.
cost a mere nickel, which made them accessible to almost everyone.
Hey, you can't go wrong with a donut. You can't go wrong with a donut. Because like, you can always find a donut that's for you. You can have a plain one, you can have a non-plain one, you can have a chocolate, anything, dude. And you got...
Like I said, they do have breakfast donuts. They had donut sandwiches. So, yeah, there's all in the donut holes.
anything on a donut.
Even those hit hardest by the Great Depression. And by the 1950s, Krispy Kreme stores were in 12 states.
Oh, I love Krispy
and donuts
Kreme.
were considered the quintessential
that
American
here.
breakfast food. But while all this seems straightforward enough, the origins of donuts are actually contested. Fossilized versions have been found in Native American settlements, throwing this widely accepted narrative into question. And
Fossilized
also making
donuts.
us wonder why no natural history museum has donut skeletons on display. In 1901, Force cereal changed the world forever by showing up on supermarket shelves with a mascot on the box, Sonny Jim. It's hard to believe now, but this was a pretty big anomaly for the time. People were not used to Captain Crunch or the Honey Smacks
Yeah, that's crazy, because now pretty much every cereal's got a mascot.
frog. Sonny Jim was so wildly successful that other cereal brands took notice and began to develop their own mascots.
Right.
Beginning in the 1930s, cereal mascots like Snap, Crackle, and Pop, Tony the Tiger,
I was gonna say, what mascot do you think is the most famous mascot? It's gotta be Tony the Tiger, right? Is he gotta be the most famous? Who's the most famous? Like,
Captain
I
Crunch
feel
or
like in
Tony,
the
one of the
UK,
two.
Tony the Tiger's gotta be the most famous. I don't know about
Yeah, I would. My money. These three right here would be the most famous.
how it is in America, though.
Captain Crunch, and Toucan Sam
Toucan.
were introduced and
These are
proved
the
to be just
four
as
most
successful
popular
as Sonny
ones.
Jim. Arguably, more so. Which one of you has actually heard of Sonny Jim? Then
not
in
heard
the
of Sonny
60s,
Jim.
the cereal mascot's star power received a major boost from the introduction of color TVs in homes throughout the country. Cereal companies used their compelling characters, complete with elaborate backstories and complex plots, to
fun.
market their cereal to kids. It was an extremely successful tactic, with one
Well, that's the thing with cereal, man. Like, you gotta market it to kids. You gotta get the kids hooked first. And then the kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna always like that cereal. Like, I love the cereal that I loved when I was a kid. And I like eating it now because I've always ate it. You know what I mean?
minor problem. The cereals marketed with cute cartoon mascots were, and still are, usually full of sugar.
Super
Right.
Sugar Crisp is coated with super sugar to make it taste so
Is that bad?
sweet.
Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, public health organizations urged companies to scale back their aggressive targeting of youngsters.
Okay.
The Children's Television Act of
Right.
1990 limited the number of advertisements in kids' programming. And in 2006, several major companies pledged to use their characters to market healthier options.
I don't think that really applies anymore because so many people stream stuff and watch stuff online. I don't know if they made that adjustment to take into account the internet.
We like to think Sonny Jim would be proud, whoever the hell he is.
Really good video. Seen the amount.
I'll leave a link for his video if you want to go back and rewatch it without me interrupting. But yeah, it's interesting the way breakfast is. The coffee thing, I think I've heard that before. That makes sense. You know, we like, screw them, we'll drink something else. Makes perfect sense. But yeah, that was interesting. All right, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe, and everyone take care. Later.